2 months ago, I decided to start a Pokemon card business from scratch, throwing myself into buying, selling, and trading people's favorite collectible cards. But how is it actually going? Have I made any profit? And where do I actually see this going in the coming months? That's what I'm going to cover in today's video using real data and real numbers. Let's dive straight into it. Hey guys, so if you're new to the channel, my name is Thomas and you're watching Pokémonster. Welcome to today's video where I'm doing a deep dive into all of the numbers from 2 months of starting a Pokemon business from scratch. Now, before I get into showing all the numbers, I want to preface none of this is a flex or showing off. In fact, you might find that the numbers are maybe a bit lower than what you're expecting, but I just wanted to make it as honest and authentic as possible. So let's just get straight into the numbers. So as you guys know, I'm working full-time in a corporate job. So most of the windows where I've got the time to actually make sales and run this business is outside of work. So in the evenings, on the weekends. I've gone to one card show so far, which was the Sunday on the London card show. And later on in this video, I'll be talking about my plans for more card shows. But my total combined revenue so far is £5,372. So what that is it's broken down into the revenue I've made from Pokemon cards that I've sold, but I'm also including my YouTube revenue from when I started making the video roughly. So this YouTube revenue that I've got is £257, which is for January and February. And I'll get onto that a little bit later for people who are maybe interested in starting a YouTube channel. And obviously the vast majority of my revenue comes from selling actual Pokemon cards of £5,115. My total profit out of that £5,115 is £2,679. Does that count as an overall profit and loss figure? No, because I'm still down £2,000 to £3,000 based on the amount I've invested. However, most of that is tied up in actual inventory, which I'll get onto later. So those are the main metrics that I've got to show you guys to start with. Now, to start with the YouTube revenue first, you'll see that my January payment was about £75. That is actually a combination of the 3 previous months altogether. So what YouTube does for anyone who's interested in actually starting a YouTube channel is, although you can get monetized for getting 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours, they will only pay you when you reach a certain payment threshold. Now in the UK, that's £60. So when I say that the January payment of £75 was a combination of 3 months worth, it means that I was genuinely just making about £20 to £25 a month before that. Now my channel completely blew up after that, after I decided to start a business, after I did my vendor POV at the London card show, which meant that in February I got a payment just for the month of February of £180, and that's the highest I've gotten so far. So as a side note, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has been watching and supporting. Literally all you need to do is watch the channel, like, comment, and subscribe. So next, I'm going to talk about my revenue by source, and I thought I'd do a pie chart. Now note that some of these figures might be a little bit approximate, and obviously I'm cutting off the March figures. Today is the 29th of March. This video might be going up on the 30th of March. So it's not fully accurate for the entire month. The selling of sealed product basically makes up 46% of all of my revenue at the moment. Now, I kind of like to make that a smaller percentage because it takes a lot more packaging and it takes a lot more time. It weighs a lot more to sell sealed products, and I just think it's probably simpler to sell singles and graded cards. So moving on to those categories, you'll see that singles made up 28% of my sales, slabs made up 20%, and the YouTube revenue actually made up 4.8%, which I'm pretty happy about because I haven't actually included, as I've said, my March revenue into this pie chart. But hopefully that's a helpful visualization of where my revenue is currently coming from. The other thing I'd say about this is because I've only been doing this for 2 months, the percentage or relative contributions based on the source are still going to change wildly, and maybe I'll do another one of these update videos after I've done a few more shows. So here's another bar chart or bar graph that I've made, which basically shows sort of like the profit margins as well, which is consistent with the pie chart I was showing earlier. I've made close to £2,600 in revenue on sealed, of which close to 1,300 is profit. So as you can see, the margin is like close to 50% at the moment. Now, that is not a sustainable figure in my opinion, just because we're currently in the hottest market that we've ever seen. So expect those numbers to go down for sure. Singles, I was pretty surprised at the margin, but again, this is only the margin. Sometimes the stats can be a little bit misleading because the margin is calculated based on the actual singles that I've sold. So what I mean by that is, of course, the good singles sold and therefore made it onto this bar chart, and the bad singles haven't actually sold yet. So once they sell, I'll probably be selling them at a loss or a lower margin, and then that margin is going to come down by quite a bit. And then slabs graded, haven't actually sold that many slabs yet. I remember selling like 4 to 5 at London Card Show, a few on behalf of my friends, but that's why I did that huge inventory restock of slabs, just because it was the area where I was lacking the most. So looking forward to seeing how the slabs perform at the upcoming shows that I'm going to, because I always find that singles are a bit easier to sell in the UK. If you guys are watching in the US, let me know what you guys think about that. But in my mind, the disposable income that Americans have is higher than in the UK, and I just see more slab deals going on there from the videos that I've watched. Now, the monthly sales overview for January, you can see there's a huge increase between January and February, and it's sort of tailed off in March. This is basically the reality of running a business while working full-time, right? So February absolutely popped off, and that was driven in huge part by me going to London Card Show. And then, as you can see in March, it's tailed off a little bit and I haven't sold that many items. What else is useful to know is actually my inventory value. Now, the way I value this is actually based on what I've paid at the moment. So most of these things, for example, if I bought a Prismatic Evolutions booster bundle for £23.94, which I think is the retail price, and it's currently worth, £40 to £50, that won't be accounted for in my inventory value. So I'm very much hoping that my actual inventory value is even higher than what I'm showing on here. But yeah, I've basically got 139 items in stock. Still going to be buying more because I'm going to be doing a few shows, and I'll get onto that later, but that's what the picture is looking like at the moment. One last bit of information that I think might be cool to see is the actual value of the items that I'm selling. So the distribution of the different price points of what I'm selling. I have most of the sales between £0 to £50. That accounts for over 55% of all of the items that I've sold. So ideally, as I continue to build this business, I want to move slowly into the higher range of sales, just because you're getting the same amount of money but with less products that you need to move through. So that's my strategy. That being said, having a range of affordable items I find is also really important, just to make sure that you're catering to all audiences. Particularly that's important when you're selling at card shows, because sometimes I see a lot of high-end sellers just having high-end stuff and it looks super cool, but especially in the UK, it just seems like it sits for quite a long time. So then you're kind of waiting for big sales, whereas with lower end items, you can just bat them off. They're very liquid. So those are my stats so far, and now I just want to talk about what I think has sold well and what hasn't sold well so far. So in terms of what's sold well in terms of singles, the Terrestrial Festival SARs, but especially the 151 cards, have been doing extremely well, and I think that's a testament, one, to modern cards. At London Card Show, I had quite a bit of vintage like EX cards. Some of those sold, but even from listing them on eBay and stuff, I feel like they're just not getting as many eyes as modern is. Something that I failed on is the Salamence SAR from Battle Partners. Gen 3 Pokemon Pseudo Legendary, I thought, this was a good punt, but the price has dropped as expected, but I haven't sold a single one of them, and part of that is probably my fault because I haven't been listing things on eBay aggressively with having to balance my work. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be as popular as Terrestrial Festival Evolutions. I think the next 2 months are going to be huge, so I'm just going to put up a picture of my upcoming schedule. But basically in the months of April to May, I'll be going to like 4 to 5, maybe 6 shows. I'll be doing 2 as buyers, so I'll be going to the Wembley Card Show or Cards Convention. to do a buyer POV, but then I'll be selling at 2 slightly local shows. So the Cards and Collectibles Convention in Essex, the Reading Card Show. Both of those are in April. And then obviously I've got the big one, which is London Card Show in May again. This time I did manage to book 2 dates. So both Saturday and Sunday I'll be selling there. Let me know in the comments if you're intending to go there. It'd be great to see some of you guys, because I'll definitely be doing more vendor POVs. In the rest of May, I'll also be going to MCM Comic Con. So yeah, it's a pretty packed schedule for someone that's working a full-time job at the same time, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Hopefully this video was insightful for you guys. You know, if you're thinking of starting a business yourself, wanting to sort of learn about what the numbers look like. For now though guys, thanks so much for watching and happy collecting.